Seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good evening, folks. This is Dave Schmidt, and I'm your host here again tonight on the Sedona Connection. I want to welcome you to hear this program here tonight on January 4th. It's our first program of the year 2017. I hope everybody had an absolute wonderful time over the holidays. I usually always take the 2 weeks off around Christmas and New Year's. It's time that I just like to kind of stop, kind of let go, reflect a little bit. Don't answer emails unless I have to, kind of just shut down and kind of focus for myself. And it's been a wonderful time for me here in Sedona over the last couple of weeks, and I assume that you probably did that for yourself too. That's the time over the holidays that we focus on what's important, giving, family, things coming from our heart, things like that. So again, welcome to the program tonight. Now, I do have a little bit of a different setup here tonight. If you notice, I've got this new kind of banner there in the background that I've showed you, that it's been on the video that I put out yesterday. Normally, I would have that in the background, but I had to do something just a little bit different tonight. I had to change my camera angles because I have a guest with us here tonight. Mr. M, he'll come on with us here shortly, but he's sitting right over there. He doesn't have the liberty to come on the camera tonight, but we will be able to, we'll use his name as Mr. M. Just want to welcome him. You can say hi there, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
That's right. And Mr. M's partner is here with us tonight, Megan. Megan's just sitting over there on the couch as well, but you can at least say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Yeah, you see her hand there in the background, okay? So you're going to really enjoy the guests that I have on here on the program tonight. Now, with that, I just want to make a couple announcements. Yes, I still have the workshop coming up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in 2 weeks from Saturday on January 21st. And even tonight, I'll reiterate a little more about I can share a lot of stuff at the workshops verbally that I'm just not allowed to put onto the internet because for the protection of the sources that come my way. I still have around, about 20 seats that are left. I mean, I've already had over 70 people sign up in just, the first week. We have about 2 more weeks to go. There is a possibility I can expand the venue. I won't know that until about another week or so, but there will always be plenty of room for everybody as long as you sign up probably within the next week. Okay? And yes, I had mentioned on the video that I am going to be doing planning some more workshops as well. I do not have any dates. I do not have the order yet, but let me say these are the cities that I'm looking at going to in the next 2 to 3 months. Seattle, the San Francisco Bay Area, back here in Sedona, Denver, Minneapolis, Cleveland, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Baltimore. Those are the cities that I'm looking at doing. Somebody had sent me an email as well, because you're back to doing a whole lot more workshops, does that mean that, the funds are not coming through? Nope. Because, folks, I will do the workshops regardless of when the funds come through. This is something that will continue to be ongoing. It's what I love to do. I love to come out there. I love to be with you, have the interaction with you, be in that live audience. You have access to me. You can ask me all the questions that you would wish to ask. And those are the things that are important. So the workshops will go on regardless of when funding comes through. So, but those are the schedules. I will probably in the next week or two, I will have a little more firmed up of the type of schedule that will be there for that. With that, I want to say again and welcome Blanca. Thank you for joining us tonight. How are things there in Atlanta tonight?
Everything's fine over here, Dave, and very nice to be back after a nice holiday break, and hopefully you had nice holidays. We did. Nice balance between being with loved ones and some relaxation. And you said you took some time to reflect. We did too. We took a look at what went on in our lives in 2016, and we reflected on how many things happened that we had not even expected would happen or ever think would happen. And I'm sure the same could be said for your year.
Yeah, it has been. It's interesting here in Sedona over the last week. We've had clouds and rain. And I thought, man, this is Seattle weather. And I thought I left all of that stuff. But it was sunny for most of the day today. And, it always comes around sooner or later. It's always going to be nice and sunny here in Sedona for extended periods of time. So, okay, anything else you'd like to share with us before I make some comments?
Well, no, I'm just glad for people to join us, and a lot of people joined your community last year, and so together we'll proceed and see what wonderful things we can usher in and welcome as a collective. And so I'm looking very much forward to the show with Mr. M, and I know the audience is going to enjoy it as well.
Good. Well, not only do I have him on tonight, it was about probably a month and a half ago, I had an individual on by the name of Jason. And Jason has a personal friend that is inside the CIA, and he is stationed there in Reno. Jason's going to come on the air and give us a short update of what took place today. I had a really busy day today. I think I talked with about 4 different people, all excellent sources. I talked with people who have sources in Asia. I talked with people who have sources in Hong Kong. In fact, I did talk with my source in Hong Kong last night. I have a wonderful lady who has great connections in different places around the world. I talked with my normal Reno sources today. I talked with my normal Texas sources today. And so, I had a lot of good information and intel that is coming in. And I think what I'll do, I'll wait until Jason comes on. I'll let him make those comments because I know he is listening right now. But before I do that, I need to make some comments about something. Well, it's been the attack season on the blog sites today. And a lot of you have sent me emails, and I'm very much aware of it. And there are rumors going around that I am wanted by the FBI, or the FBI is about to arrest me, or that I am under an investigation of the FBI. And the really funny one was this one that came out today. Now let me see if I can get that there so you can see that. See, it says, I am wanted by the FBI. Somebody had to go through hours and hours putting this together because they love to attack people. And, and it goes down and it says the description. First of all, my date of birth is wrong. And then when it says about my nationality, it says I'm Neptunian. Have you ever heard of what Neptunian is?
No.
I haven't either. And then my languages. Oh, English, yes, of course.
Southern or Northern Neptune?
So, it didn't say. I'm
Neptune.
Neptunian. I guess I'm from the planet Neptune is what it is. That's what they're saying. So I didn't know that. So that's you always kind of learn something about yourself, don't you? And then here's my languages. Yes, I do speak English, but it says I also speak gibberish and fibbery. And it says that that I'm wanted for alleged involvement with an international currency investment scheme beginning in 2013, and the scheme utilizes live stream broadcast. Yes, it does. So I guess I'm here scamming all you folks here on live stream broadcast by what these people are saying. And it says that, in these seminars throughout the United States, I have frequent posts on Facebook page and emails to his private group list that are set up to be defrauded currency investors for personal financial gain. Well, and then there is one that I'm going to bring the name out because basically he had come across and named me as well. Kent Dunn was on Gary Larrabee's program today, and he basically said that he had talked with an FBI source this morning, and they said, yes, that I am under investigation. You know what, folks? I might be, because here's why. There is a blog site that is out there that loves to attack all of us that believe this is going to happen, and all of us that basically talk in either through, the internet, like here, what I do, or on the blog sites. And they attack all of us. And they're very vicious in their attacks. And they have said to all of their readers, says, please, would you call the FBI office in Phoenix and file a complaint against Dave Schmidt? Well, when you get 40 or 50 complaints, sure, they're going to have to take a look at it. So they might be looking at me, and there might be an investigation that is going on. But here's what appeared on the Dinar Intel site today that basically has said. It says, warning, Deep Schmidt ahead. Okay, that was the headline. It says, it's just been reported by Kent Dunn that Dave Schmidt is under an FBI investigation for currency manipulation charges. It says, this should be a warning to all those who work with him in any way whatsoever, that you will be investigated as well. Expect your phone records, texts, emails, and bank accounts to be searched and your involvement to be determined. And also, I'm sure that you have made many posts on blog sites that encourage people to get involved with Schmidt, and they will become evidence of collusion at the least. Expect your accounts to be frozen and or completely forfeited as ill-gotten gains. Depending upon your involvement, it may be much worse. It says, hopefully, in the event if he is convicted for fraud, that you will be able to get your currencies back. However, there will be many issues that many of you will never get them back. He goes on and he says that I'm already collecting currencies. Folks, I think, well, maybe I have 4 people that I might have a little bit of here in my office. And that's all that I've got. I don't have anything else. I'm not taking anything from anybody. And I have also very clearly said this as nothing happens until we absolutely know that the people in round 1 are going to be funded. And I can tell you right now, if I'm going to be under investigation, and if my bank accounts are going to be frozen, then there's about 10 to 15,000 other people that have already turned their currencies into Reno and other intake centers that are going to be frozen just as well. These are real people who've turned in real money, working with real brokers at real centers. And tonight, again, you're going to hear the report of Jason's going to come on the air and tell you the report of what's actually going on in Reno, where the currencies are being turned in, and these people have a protection behind that. I have clearly said I'm going to protect you with every way that I can. If at any point in time this ends up being anything that is illegal, I will do my research, do my work, and make sure that everybody is protected on this. What's sad about this is how the vicious attacks of hatred that come from Kent Dunn and Gary Larrabee. Either one of you guys could have emailed me at any time. Either one of you guys could have picked up the phone or requested me to have a phone call with me, and I would have done that. And it would have been nice if you would have done your homework first. If you listen to the half-hour video that Gary Larrabee puts out today, it's obviously that they are a camp that is coming from a certain perspective. They appear to believe that they're the ones that are right. And you even hear Gary Larrabee saying that everybody in the FBI, everybody in the CIA, everybody in Homeland Security, and all the people involved in U.S. Treasury that are working in any of those things, they're all crooks, they're all criminals, and he says they should all be destroyed. In essence, sounds like he would like to go out and have them all killed. Is that what you're saying, Gary? There's obviously a very divisive split where they are in a specific camp with a specific group and they feel a specific way. That's all I'm going to say about that. People get to make their choices. People choose what they want to do. None of you here have to participate with any of this that I'm doing if you don't want to. I will take every measure that I can to make sure everything is safe and that is secure for you. None of those guys have walked down the paths that I have walked. They don't talk to the people that I talk to. I wish I could name names and put pictures out there that you could see where all my sources and my contacts come from. They're very real people. They've been involved in this stuff for a long time. They're professionals at what they do, and they really know that is what is going on. And if these things that Kent Dunn wrote about me and that got posted on this blog site, if that's correct, then we're probably going to end up maybe having about 20 to 30,000 people that they're going to have to throw in jail. Isn't that right? What do you think about that, Mr. M? Kind of along that way, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. So, well, it wasn't time to draw you into the conversation, but it's kind of nice to have you here, and I can have a little bit of a kind of a confirmation of what I'm saying here, of what's going on. Folks, we don't do this just to be scamming. I don't really need to do this. I don't really need the money. And I have said also, these are my retirement years. If I really wanted to be a nice guy, I would just go away and say, forget it all. I'm not going to do any of this stuff. And I'd be only selfishly taking care of myself. I do this because I have a passion for this and I love it. And you can talk to over the 2,000 people who have attended my workshops and they will tell you that the same thing. Why is it that I get scores and scores of emails that say that the workshop that they have, my workshop they have been to, is one of the best things they have ever been to in their lives? Why is it at my workshops always 20 to 25% of the audience are repeat attenders? They come back because they love it and they believe in it, and it's totally their choices. I let people make their own decisions. I let them decide what it is that they want to do. They get to choose to participate or not participate. When you read stuff like this really comes from a position of fear. There's a lot of fear that they talk about in there. They say, don't ever turn your currencies over to anybody because they're going to steal from you and scam from you. Well, then I guess there's about 15 to 20,000 people that are going to lose a lot of money. And these are a lot of really big whales that have turned their currencies into Reno and the other intake centers as well. And those folks are going to lose millions and millions of dollars. Well, I can tell you, when you got that kind of money, if it's a scamming operation, they go after the top scammers. I'm a pretty low peon in this thing, you know. I'm kind of here for the moms and pops to help bring them into it, and I do the best that I can, and I bring you what I can, and I absolutely believe this from my heart, what is here. And Kent Dunn and Gary Larrabee, that's your choice about what you want to say. You can have your positions. I respect that. We don't always all see things the same way, and I will always honor and respect your opinions. I would just ask it would be nice if you do the same in return. Because, see, it's not just me that you're criticizing. What you're criticizing is the thousands and thousands of people who have been with me for 2 and 3 years and who watch this all the time. You're basically saying that they're inept, that they're stupid, that they're fools, and they're being scammed by me. And what you're saying is an absolute insult to the thousands and thousands of people that will view this program and they believe in it. People get to make their choices, and I'll make mine, and I know you'll make yours, and I'll let you make yours as well. Okay? I think that's enough that is said about that, but it was important that I address that issue because there were a lot of emails that were coming in and there was a lot of questions that were coming in along that line. So, with Blanca, is there anything else that you would like to add to that before we bring Jason on?
Well, that's true, Dave, and it's very sad that people feel that attacking others and saying malicious things is appropriate. If they want to be a voice of hope and if they want to attract people and help people out, it seems counterproductive to be malicious and vicious about talking about someone else. There seems to be a big contradiction there. And folks in the audience, again, Dave, and you know, you've been to this workshop, you've listened to the show, he's not forcing anyone to do anything. He provides information, guidance. He provides himself as a resource to see if we can make this possibility go through. And he tries to come from a stance of sincerity with everyone. And I don't think in any of the shows that I've worked with him have I ever heard him viciously cut someone down or malign someone. Now, he can say some strong words and tell people that what they're doing is incorrect, but that's about it. So, folks, you're a discerning group, and you can choose what you're going to listen to. And I've met many of you, and I know you're very wise. And what we've got to do is practice some forgiveness, whatever the motivation for these people is. It's a very sad motivation, I would say. And then we'll continue forward. We've got big things to do. We've got to focus our energy on positive things to bring forth. And I think that's where most of us stand.
You know, what's ironic out of this, Blanca, is that every time I get attacked on the other blog sites, I see a spike in the subscription list on YouTube and on my newsletter list. People choose to come and listen, and they choose to make their own choices. And they say, I want to listen to this. And it's really funny. They think they're attacking me by keeping people away from me, but all they're doing is giving me more publicity and helping me because my newsletter list, the number of people there and my subscriptions on YouTube always take a spike every time anybody attacks me. So I don't really care how many people I have. That's not a goal for me. I mean, if I wanted to have numbers, I'm one of the most stupid promoters I've ever met in my life. I just let it take care of itself. And people are here because
you've got promoters.
Yeah, people are here because they want to be here. They listen because they want to listen. Okay? Anything else?
I think that's good, Dave.
Okay, I'm going to go right directly over to Jason. He's the one that has the area code that is with the 336. I'm going to bring him on the air. Jason, you're on the air. How you doing tonight, bud?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm doing good. It was great having a conversation with you today. I want to introduce you to Mr. M. You will at a later time get to know who he really is, and you'll get to hear some of the things that he has to say tonight. But give us a brief update about the report that you had from Reno today.
Yeah, I will. I can't help but just take 10 seconds and tell people that I have myself had quite a bit of interaction with you, as well as many businessmen around the world with all the business I've done in every different country I've been in. And in my opinion, Dave, you're first class and you're the real deal. And I've looked you in the eye, I've shook your hand, I've had conversations with you, and you know, in my opinion, you're the real deal. I like everything about how you do it, and that's why I've been following you for a couple of years now and waiting for whatever transpires through your group. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate
And don't
that.
give any energy to these knuckleheads over here on the blog site. They
Well,
don't know what they're up to.
And thank you. And I don't. It's just that I feel like I do need to respond because of the questions that the listeners have, and you need to be able to make a response for them.
Sure.
Because if you don't say anything, then they're assuming that it may be true, and there's no truth to what was written in there. So.
Well, we want to get on to Mr. M, so let me go ahead and just throw a couple things at you. First of all, for any of those that are on your call for the first time tonight, I'll just say that I rekindled a friendship with a friend of mine that I've known for close to 20 years, and he is very well connected in the Reno area, all the way up the chain. Just about any high-ranking person you can mention, he, gets information through them. And we got an update a couple weeks ago. I was on the ground in Reno, somewhere close to December the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. There, was able to go down to the hotel and meet with my friend, and I was able to meet a few people and see all the security, and it was very exciting. And we were told on the day that we turned in our currency that, the possibility existed that we could be funded in 7 to 21 days, and that time has come and gone. And in that time, we did get a report, I think it was 2 Wednesdays ago, or maybe 1 Wednesday ago now, I'm not sure, that we were going to be funded on a Thursday. It was like the next day. And we've now gotten reports that there were more arrests that needed to take place, just basically more politics. I've heard through multiple sources that Trump has had to have more than one conversation with Obama about this whole process. And you've talked about that a little bit, about Obama being in office still versus not, and the fact that Trump got elected and they weren't expecting that. So I've heard some of that information through our sources. But I'll tell you what most of your listeners probably really want to know. Anytime that funding is supposed to happen and it doesn't come through, and of course we all think it's about us, we never stop to think that we're the afterthought on this. We just go, hey, is this, most people go, man, I wonder if this thing's even been real. And they start saying, oh, this has been going on for 10 or 15 years. And I know people that did this, and I know people that did that, and it still hasn't happened. Well, I can tell you guys something. Most of you are probably somewhere between at least 30 and 60 years old. And if you're like my parents, my dad always taught me that where there's smoke, there's fire. And there's more smoke around this than you can shake a stick at everywhere. And, my friend, he has one source who's very high up in security, and he is on a daily basis, weekly basis, having meetings with, again, people as high up as you can go. He tells me that the United States government is now on board with this exchange happening. He tells me that the United States Treasury is on board and knows all about this taking place. So if I was a listener on your call, that would be probably one of the things I'd want to hear. Because again, every week that goes by, every month that changes hands, that it doesn't happen, people tend to doubt a little bit. I don't have any of those doubts. I used to say, if this happens, I now say when this happens, and that's all I talk about is when this happens, and I'm very excited. My wife and I talk every day about all the different people we're going to impact through this process, and that's really what it's about. And so if I was on this call, what I'd want to hear is this real? And ladies and gentlemen, this, in my assessment, is very, very real. And it is happening. It's just a matter of what day. My friend got an update, the last couple of days, and when he was hanging up the call, the guy told him, he said, hey, just remember, everything is on go, testing is done, this can happen any minute. And, he said when the people at the top say this is going to happen and this is going to happen now, he said, then I'll be the first to know. And apparently they kind of have a plan to roll out what they call like an interim money up front, where they're maybe sending out a certain block of money that'll prove to be a live test with real money. And from that moment forward, it'll just continue to snowball. He also did confirm that we are supposed to still be paid even before Tier 1. At one time, it was stated that, that would happen roughly 4 weeks before Tier 1. I think now they're looking at like 3 to 4 weeks. But, the contacts he has are basically sitting on hold right now, waiting on the phone call that says this is now happening. And by the way, most of these people that go, that get this information or this high up the chain, a lot of them are military or they're special forces and they were military before that. And one thing you don't do when you're in those seats is when it doesn't happen, you don't go start arguing and go, hey, why didn't this happen, and drilling people above you for why it didn't happen. They say it didn't happen and you say, yes, sir. You just let me know when it's happening, sir, and I'll be right here ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's a part of it people don't think about either. But that's a very real part of this, is that a lot of these people are, CIA and FBI and military, and they're taught to say yes, sir, no, sir, and don't ask too many questions.
Yeah, so good. Well, thank you, Jason. It's glad to get an update from you, and we had a great conversation this morning, and I think I can say is that when you talk about your contacts there, those are people that are very, very high up in the 3-letter agencies of our government. So, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Thanks, buddy.
Okay.
No, man, that's it. I mean, there's plenty we can talk about. We're ready to hear Mr. M.
Alrighty.
That's what I'm here for
I
tonight.
know. Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Jason. Appreciate it. All right.
Thanks,
Okay.
buddy.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bye-bye. Yeah. There we are. Okay. Well, I want to introduce you folks to this guy. He's sitting right across from me here. We're going to call him Mr. M here tonight, and and his friend here is she's Ms. M. And did you? He's bringing his. There he is. He's got a hand in the camera, but I'm going to let him go into the real details about introducing himself and who others think that he is, and the titles that have been placed upon him, other than the fact that I think that I told you he is a man that has a very, very extensive background. He's been involved in this for a number of years. He used to work inside both the Pentagon and the CIA. That experience had come down basically through his father, because I think I probably better let you share that so I don't overstep anything that might be involved in that. But Mr. M, welcome. Glad you're here tonight. And this is not the first time I'm going to have you on the air, because you're here in Sedona for a period of time, and I know we've been spending some extensive time together and having some wonderful conversations. So welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. So I also want to chime in on how stand-up Dave is. I did go to his workshop here in Sedona, and felt the heart and really saw firsthand how highly integrous and purposeful everything that Dave is doing. And additionally, our group that I represent have been following Dave for a while, and we've told Dave that we're setting up some Prosperity for Humanity programs, and in fact wish to work with Dave to provide project funding. And whether that comes in before an RV payout or not, we shall see. But we think we'll be rolling out project funding on a select few in just a few short months. Having said that, yes, my background very similar in many regards to the things that everybody has been following, in the sense that we were building a new banking system starting some 10 years ago, and we were very effective at putting in place a new system. We had 201 treaties signed worldwide to use this new banking system. Much like a BRICS or an AIIB, we were the approved system globally, and we were very, very effective and nearly ready to launch around 2012, when essentially the cabal, reared its ugly head in such a strong way that it stopped our effort. And so we had to regroup, those of us that didn't get arrested on trumped up charges, and have been busy building a new system at the highest levels, with the highest levels of authority, and signatories from the largest trusts and the families. So there's not too much I can say about that at this time. We will do more than one session, and I'll be able to disclose more and more. But coming back to my background, I did get started programming in a system that my father invented in 1967, and it became widely used by governments, including agencies, in 1978. And by the time that I was 25 years old, I was working at the Pentagon. And after that, when I was 26, I was doing contract work, helping with application development in this programming language. I ended up working at the Defense Intelligence Agency, and I did a 30-year career working at a lot of Fortune 300 companies. This system is used globally, actually. And in it also runs the IRS, the Federal Reserve, and several other agencies, the Pentagon, and etc. And so the reason I got tapped, I suppose, is because of my background, and I got brought into this new system, even though I'd been working behind the scenes, if you will, for 20 some years. I was instrumental with an individual that helped to move all the gold to all of the banks as the leases were done for reserve currency, gold to be the reserve underwriting all of the currencies. And so when that lease was up after 30 years, that's when it was time to work at implementing a new system. And actually it was right after 9/11 that it was deemed that it was imperative to begin to create a new system, because many people know about trading platforms, but they don't know why they were created. In the beginning, it was part of the Marshall Plan, when all of the destruction happened from World War II. There was a coalition of countries that decided to have their central banks issue discounted medium-term notes, and this was when the original managed by sell programs were created to very quickly generate money to redevelop the destruction. It worked so well that they left it in place for disaster relief, recovery, humanitarian aid. But those systems are infiltrated by the banksters, is what we called them back in the day. The 1%, the cabal that basically used these programs under false pretense. They said they were going to do humanitarian things, but they actually were using the money to fund black ops. So after 9/11, it became imperative to get a handle on what was being done, and when we implemented a new system that basically crashed the Federal Reserve, which is the central banking system of the planet, we inserted our software in our firewalls. And this went back and forth several times. When finally, December 17th, 2007, the final firewall activation held, and we were in charge of the central bank system of the planet for a handful of years, until we were actually ready to implement our final phase, which was a commercial level, bringing it all down to the final tier. And that's when the cabal put a stop to our efforts some 3.5, 4 years ago. But again, we are well positioned and implementing a sound system for the betterment of humanity.
It's interesting that you say that, because I've consistently been saying, people say, well, when is this going to happen? When's it going to roll out? And I says, not until the banking system is safe. And it hasn't been safe. And what you had just described again is that there is a safe system that is out there that you and your partners had developed. But there's been that battle that's been going on, because when you look at the cabal, you're talking about the most powerful people in the world, you know. So that's who you're battling with. And I think one of the reasons why, again, we haven't seen this is because the banking system hasn't been safe. But what you're saying
correct.
is it's right there now. It's
Yeah.
finally there.
And they stole money from us on multiple accounts, billions, frankly. And they had been trying to crack the system and take money on numerous times and years.
Let's do this. You're using, just so maybe for the helpful of the listeners, you're using the term, we and us. Can you elaborate to what degree that you can who it is that you're involved with, so they can maybe get a little better picture? I know a lot of this is secure information, but to what degree you can?
Well, so when I was first doing this system over a decade, we were working with the eldest elder, who was multiple hundreds of years old. And, we had a master trader that actually did some trading for the Vatican come out of retirement. And we were working with former heads of agencies from multiple countries, top agents from Interpol. And so now it's not that dissimilar. We are working directly with the M1, the highest authorities, the signatories. So that is us and we. And they obviously being the cabal or the banksters that ran the system. Now when you run a system, you can look into any account and you can, reach in there and take out funds, and they'll be and you won't know what happened. Now some probing leaves footprints, but when you come from the highest screen levels, you can just disappear money. And once we got control of the system, we actually did take back all the funds that they made through the trading programs that were supposed to be used for humanitarian purposes. So, but yeah, this is a real spy versus spy, silent war, between the white hats and the black hats. And of course, while we were implementing this and doing all this, we had the scales being tipped, because it was potentially could be seen as 60 to 40%, 60 in favor of the black hats and all the agencies and all the high banks and various places, and those scales have tipped to where there's now 40 and even 20%, even lower, and 80% white hats. Trump was a big white hat victory. There are things going on behind the scenes to clean up the cabal, to put an end to all the corruption, so that the disenfranchised and the impoverished can be raised up. Now, when I first got involved in this, I asked, why are we doing this? And they said to level the playing field, to bring the poor up to middle class and the uber wealthy down to middle class. And we set up what were called champions over sectors. And these are the important sectors like water, food, these types of things. And people were chosen to be dispersing funds for projects and their own projects as experts in those areas. My area was IT and new media, transmedia, social media, and the like, which is what we're still doing today, developing new systems in every regard. So in essence, that's what we're doing now too. In approaching you, we are finding people that we trust to be stewards of funds for project funding. And now I also have a very deep spiritual background, and I got into all of this because of the consciousness and awareness of my heart, and the need to come from heart instead of mind, or have a balance rather, because I was very high in my integrity, very left brain, right brain balanced, and while I've had many spiritual experiences, some very much out there, I like to say, truth is or fiction is stranger than truth.
Well, and you know, it's funny, as I've gotten to know you, I mean, I've gotten to know that side of you as well, and it's almost like that's the deeper passion of your life. It's the money stuff. Oh, that's just secondary to what is the heart passion of your spiritual side.
And walking this path,
Yeah.
I have seen many miraculous things happen. There's definitely a grand plan, a divine orchestration to uplift humanity, and it's been obvious. There are other things that I'll share as we go along, just how strange it really is, that we all have had these aspects of this incredible journey woven into our lives. I didn't ask to learn about all this. It was put into my path and my family, and even as young as 25 years old, I was hearing about trading platforms. I was waved down off the street by a place not many blocks from where I lived, and told that I could get involved in this stuff. So it's really interesting that each one of us has an opportunity to tip the scales. And I coined a term about a decade ago that we're global transformers, and this global transformation that we're doing involves, each and every one of us, because our collective agreement does manifest reality. And I've certainly seen this. Our team has certainly seen the power of aligned hearts. And so we're very happy with where we're at today. It's been an uphill battle for sure. Many of us, working 16 hours a day without being paid, for the betterment of the whole.
Let's go back. The way I've come to understand this is that, regardless of what's going to happen in the funding and the people that have the currencies or the bonds or whatever, and we're all kind of in that because we understand, and I've been sharing this for a couple of years, is that it's humanitarian projects first, putting the money to work first, and that we are secondary to that. But we always wonder, I always say follow the money. At the end of the day, if you want to trust or know what's going on, follow the money. And what I've come to understand is that there are 3 really, really large funding sources out there. We hear about all these elders, the Chinese elders, and a lot of the stuff that's happening in Reno is through the elders. And then you and I have had discussions about the dragon families, and I've been very clear that yes, there are multiple clans of these dragon families, and you have both black hats and white hats in the families. And a couple months ago, I had a gentleman on the program from one of the largest trusts in the world. Now, it's best that I don't say that, is because some things that developed out of that we need to keep him safe and secure. And in my now association with you, you've introduced me to 2 other very, very large trusts. And both of these are larger than the one that I thought was the largest in the world. And if I'm understanding you, that's the funding sources, because that's the people that you work with. You know who the signatures are on those very large trusts. And we can't even fathom the amount of zeros that are on the screens, the banking screens of these trusts. But it's people like you that have seen them. It's the other people that I've talked to that have seen them, that this is all very real. Expound on that a little bit of what you can without, going into too much, violating too much of our security here. But about the funding sources and what you know about them.
We'll certainly get into more of that as we proceed over this series. One thing I can say, when I was working for the new system, catchphrase, the one that we were building, we had the capacity to come down from the highest screen level and to look into any account. Now, some of you may have heard of a trust called 5-Star Trust. Some 8 years ago, I was introduced to them, and they wanted me and our team to verify how much money was in their accounts. And of course, that was at the time because these large accounts accrue interest quite rapidly, as you can imagine. And yes, we verified how much money was in those accounts. Of course, that trust was somewhat questionable at the time because its background, was not truly white hat. It has become white hat. But we verified that there were, nearly a quad. And so you can imagine what there might be there now. So that's just one of the trusts that we're still connected to. So the amount is staggering. Nobody can spend it in 1,000 years, maybe even 1,000,000 years. So, and obviously you cannot flood the market with a quad.
Right.
So the idea is to start to make the changes necessary by uplifting humanity in third world countries, bringing solutions, technologies, job opportunities, etc., and to again, global transformation, transform the planet and the status of things.
It's interesting as you say that. The first objective again is always to alleviate the deep poverty and suffering that about half of the world's population live under. And when I was in Thailand, I was able to see that firsthand. It was interesting. You would go by, I was able to be on a boat and go through the back canals and parts of the city there in Bangkok, and you saw the backsides of the houses, and the utter poverty and the pollution and just the deprivation that was there when you'd see that. And what was interesting, though, is that these people would live in utter poverty, but almost in every household there was at least one smartphone. What that means is these people are coming up to speed because even though they may live in a poverty condition, they're being prepared to make a leap because they're now in touch with the rest of the world just through a smartphone. And I think the world has become ready to make that transition, and the funds are there ready to be released to make that transition, which is good for all of us. And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. And it was in conversation again with another person that I had this morning, is the releasing of these funds to us is to be instruments and tools to spread this money out rapidly all around the world for humanitarian aid projects. And you guys obviously have a very, very large part of that. So.
Absolutely. I'm reminded to mention, as far as updates in Reno's are concerned, we have a gentleman that's a former agency guy that's very high up, still has access to the highest levels. He's been on holiday, but I should be able to reach out to him to see what kind of updates he's heard about. But I also mention him because he has the ability to look into who's being investigated. So I will find out if there's any truth to whether you're being investigated or not.
Well, it's interesting because it was back I think in June when I had put this letter out, and it kind of got me into a little bit of a trouble with some of the folks because they said, you broke all of our rules. There are certain rules of engagement of how you conduct an exchange, and nobody explained the rules to me. I didn't know, and the guy I was working with says, you're going to be blacklisted, you're going to be in trouble with the FBI, U.S. Treasury is going to be all over your case, and you may end up being in some serious trouble. And that's when I had turned to you, and I says, can you do a check for me? And you did. You went into the CIA with your contacts there, and came back and says, Dave's clean, he's clear. There's nothing going on there at all with Dave, and he's free and clear, and he has no problems. And then it was interesting. I called my other source, and I told him that, and he says, that's interesting. And he got back to me. He said, let me get back to you. And he got back to me 2 days later, and he says, Dave, I don't know what it is, but we have rules in engagement that we have to operate in, and for some reason, you're above those rules. And that's what he said. And you had confirmed that as well. It's because I've been doing this here out in the open. I'm very much in the open for 3 years. I don't hide anything. I tell people what I know, what I can say. I protect what I need to protect. And what I've been repeatedly been told is that We know who you are. We've been watching you for a couple of years. And again, you were another one that said that. Says that we have the ability to investigate you totally. You can go into all of my bank accounts. You can see where I get my money, how I spend my money, what I have, where I get it. And yeah, you can find out if I'm being investigated. But you'll get to your source, as you said, and then soon, and we'll come back and let folks know on that what the real story is.
I'll tell a little story because it's not like I exactly worked for the CIA and got a paycheck. It's not quite like that.
Okay.
We had the highest level of intel that we were getting briefed on a bi-weekly basis, if not more, because of the concerted effort to accomplish this. And it was when I was being impersonated, and I was contacted by my partner asking where I was, and I told him, I'm in California. Why? Well, because there's a warrant for your arrest in Germany. You're going in and out of banks, claiming that you're the new system and, trying to orchestrate transactions. I'm like, really? And this was very early on, probably only 2 years after I got involved with this group. And they informed me that they were going to do something to my passport to protect me. And came back and said a week later that was done, as well as they apprehended this individual. And after that, I was informed, if people asked me, yes, I'm authorized, go ahead and check if you had the ability. And I was on the phone with Dr. Ray Dam, and he was very interested in what we were doing and thought it sounded too good to be true, and said he had extremely high contacts at Langley, and basically, said he was going to check me out. I said, go ahead. And he called me the next day, kind of yes-sirring me, you're an agent, aren't you? Well, you're at the highest level. We know you're there. We don't get to know what you're doing. And so, it's more who we know and the cover of what we're doing, that the white hats are everywhere, and, we're very close to accomplishing our goals. At any rate, let me think what else is appropriate.
You had. How does this stuff tie in with obviously the currency exchanges? Because that's what most of the people are interested in the funding for that. What can you elaborate on that?
Well, the intention has always been, from both sides, if you will, to do a one global currency. From the dark hat side, for control and to track and know what everybody's doing, sort of like the chip mentality,
Right.
We can track you, we can, find you, we can know exactly what you're doing. From the light hat side, it was to safeguard everything, because in the system was all of this wealth, and the levels of security and encryption and all of these advanced technologies are being deployed to safeguard all of that. Now, I've often been asked, how is it that you guys aren't going to become corrupt? Because you do realize that this has been attempted multiple times before, even with the effort of setting up things like the UN and the IMF and all these sorts of things were efforts to put in place safeguard and custodians, if you will, to oversee the use of these massive assets. And they've all failed. But the difference with us is all of us are extremely spiritual. We've been, on a spiritual path. Our entire team, was super dedicated to humanity, and, we've come up with various means to safeguard that, it will remain in a pure sense.
Do you think we're about ready to maybe go to some callers?
Sure.
We want to do that? Blanca, let's do this. Why don't you go ahead and start screening a few of the callers, and I think there are people on there that have already showed that they'd like to call in. And folks, if you'd like to call in, and even you can ask Mr. M questions, me or whoever, and the call-in number is 515-605-9356. Again, that number is 515-605-9356, and then you press 1 on your touch-tone phone. That lets us know that you would like to come on the air and that you have a question or a comment. And so, Blanca, why don't you go ahead and
Hey,
just
Dan,
start.
I've got a question for Mr. M. if
Sure,
that's
yeah,
okay.
go right ahead. You can have the first shot.
Right. I'm going to get my licks in, as they say. First of all, thanks a lot for the update and for giving us your background. And that gives us a sense for some of the real, boots on the ground, as they say, efforts that are going and being made towards making a change. I think we all feel that it's about time to make this type of change. And it sounds like you and so many other good souls have been doing that. You mentioned Prosperity for Humanity projects, it sounded like. Are
Program,
these things
yeah.
that are, separate to the currency exchange or involved with the currency exchange? Or that I wasn't clear
No,
if
it's
that was
entirely
a separate
separate. It's
endeavor.
it's separate. It's our own
Okay.
initiative to ensure
Mm-hmm.
with our control, our heart, that we will absolutely see results.
Right, so that's something that is being shepherded by a particular group of people who have set this as their aim to bring it forth and to make it happen.
Right. So it's not a massive release of 100 trillion, on a global scale.
Right.
But it's a beginning of a substantial trickle, so that we can see, taste, and affect change as soon as possible.
And from your vantage point, and you've seen a shift. I remember you said there was a time when there was, more of a majority of black hats in these, power structures, and now it's like 20% black hat, 80% white hat, which is heartening indeed. But from your Prosperity for Humanity projects, are you seeing the landscape being very favorable for you to do your work, as opposed to being stopped or corralled or
Absolutely,
stymied?
absolutely. There are intel reports and other means that we have, in fact, ascertained the landscape in a positive sense, that the cabal is very much, on its way out.
Well, that's all very good news all around for humanity. And I'm glad that as humanity we've decided we've learned enough of our dark lessons and enough of our polarity, and now it's time to create something different. So thanks for all the work that you've been doing, and thanks, Dave, for
Sure.
giving me a chance to ask
Oh,
some
yeah.
questions. And I will start engaging with the callers and
Good.
get them set up so that you and Mr. M can talk with us.
Yeah. And allow me to kind of hitchhike onto that, because while the prosperity program that you guys are bringing in is separate from the whole RVGCR issue, that does not mean that those that are involved with us and on my list, that the currency still may not be a vehicle that is used for money distribution. Is that correct?
Right. We're not, saying
Right.
anything about that either way. All we're saying is we see who you are. We love what you're doing. We see and feel your heart. And no matter what, all the people that have, in essence, entrusted you, and not with their currency, but, with your leadership and your capacity to discern truth, will be able to, in other words, we're going to make you a champion, and these champions of change are picked by just that, their level of integrity and purity of heart. So we can roll out important projects under, the guise of, say, the Sedona Connection Foundation.
Right. And so I just want everybody listening to know that yes, your currencies may still be used as a vehicle to bring funding through to you, and this is just one of the options of that as a possibility. So, don't go throwing them away or burning them or whatever.
Well,
you
no,
wanna do.
because
So,
frankly, we do have the highest level. I'm a bit of an expert on tier one trading. There's
Right.
multiple tiers
Yeah.
of trading. There's
Yeah.
many things I could say on the subject of what is typically bandied about as a trade is really a senior managed by sell.
right.
And so there are 6 master traders on the planet that we could bundle and put some assets into trade, be it
Right.
currency or not.
Hmm.
But there's so many zeros we don't even need to do that. However, I don't think we're going to need to. But I'm just simply saying we have capacity.
It comes back to us being used as vehicles of dispersion of the resources, because when you have lots of people, you spread it out much farther is what you do. And so we become basically the instruments of the dispersion, and along the way you are allowed to participate in that as well. And there's various avenues to do that. And those are things that I'm even beginning to learn now. So it's not limited to just what is, the old Reno system of, maybe going through that. This is just another avenue and approach that is there. But at the end of the day, it's what I've been saying for a long time. It's about us being instruments of change, to bring change and healing to our world. And that's the purpose behind this.
Yeah, and so I hope that we all discern our heart. In essence, the hoarding of funds and the greed and everything that's come with that power structure, is what got us into this situation. And so the kind of people that we want to empower are those, many of you probably listening have wondered and hoped and thought, wow, what could I do if I had $1 million?
Sure.
Who could I help? And I have a passion project. And those are, the things we want to kindle the fire with.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to our first caller. We have a gentleman who is ready to go. His name is Larry. He's from area code 516. Larry, you're here on the air with Mr. M and myself. What can we help you with tonight?
Hi, Miss M. A couple of quick questions, if you can get to them during the show. One of them is, I'd love to know what would have happened if Hillary won. The other one is just Dave always talks to people about, do you know anything about the banks and whether they're going to, Dave talks about if people go directly to the banks, what will they allow people to exchange the currencies they have, like dinars and things like that? And being that all that money is what they call uncirculated and not really accounted for in the inside the country. And then the other thing is, with me, I'm involved with a corporation right now where we have a project. We found some people that we think that they're very good. And do you know Mr. Robert Easton from England?
I do not.
As far as platform funding?
Do you know what tier he is? Is he
Hello?
tier 3? Can you hear us?
Yeah, did you hear that
Well,
question, Larry? What tier is he? Do you know what tier he is?
What tier Easton is?
Yeah, there's many tiers of platform
I
activity.
don't know, but it's been Mr. Easton is over 80 years old, and he's been involved in the platform trading for a long time. I know some gentlemen from California that know him for many years, and he's helped many people. And our project, he considers what we're doing humanitarian. This is long before I knew anything about Dave, and he's willing to help us. And I was just wondering if you knew Mr. Easton, and is the platform funding, the trading that you're talking about, you did make mention that there was good and there was bad, blah, 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 just for corporations, they use it for themselves. It seems that there seems to be some that, go ahead.
It's certainly very difficult to get into a platform, and a platform really is just a bank that's housing the senior managed by a cell, just for clarification. And so it is quite challenging to get an entry because they have many clients that have been participating, and they don't really typically need new clients. So it is through a relationship that you would even get access. There are
Well,
yes.
yeah, I'm sorry. That's the whole thing. Through the person I know in California, he's known him for over 25 years and has helped many people before. And through that relationship is how I met Mr. Easton.
And I don't
So
know,
that's
and I
all
don't
I
know
just
the name, but that doesn't mean that it's not valid. I would have to know more about it
Right.
to determine that. But again, there's like 6 at the highest level, and then as you come down, like in a pyramid structure, there's going to be many people, claiming they have the green door, to these people, and as you come down the pyramid, there's even many more brokers, and so it's quite a a thing to
No,
navigate.
okay. It's just that you didn't know, know him. I understand what you're saying. It's just that through the people I know in California, he's helped many people. And right now, he's at a point in his life in his 80s that he doesn't just like to do platform funding for anything. He likes humanitarian type stuff. And that's why he has said that he was willing to help one of the corporations that
Well,
we have.
It,
So,
yeah, and it would be rare that any of the senior managed by a cell or various levels of trading would be allowed without humanitarian as some percentile formula.
right. And that's why you said that the thing was approved. And that's why I love Dave so much. When he started talking about this, I always figured that any kind of exchange, humanitarian exchange, is not going to be just some big money grab for everybody. It would be something where we all have to help people. And that's part of the reason why I think that Dave is on the level. And I'm just so happy to hear people like yourself speaking on the show. It just it makes me feel a lot better, about
Well,
that. And then, like I said,
yep.
go ahead.
Just because you enter a program or a platform or a trade and you have some activity doesn't ensure you're going to be paid, because with the cabal controlling the system, they would simply take that money and there was nothing you could do about it. They might pay out once and say, oh, there's no more paper available. We've been, and our partners have been involved in trades. We've been successful and we've, had our money stolen. So, it's really about relationship as well as, eliminating those that have the ability to sort of snatch the ball out of midair. If you think about it, a Fed wire, all in the name there, Fed, and that wire is just a ball in the air. They can literally pull it right out. So new systems have been being developed from multiple angles. I'm aware of a few for new SWIFT systems and the like, so that the ball is well in the arms of the intended.
Larry, you'd also said the question along the line of did the election of Trump have anything?
Okay,
what would be your opinion on that?
Well, I dread to think what that would be like. The whole thing about Trump, he was brought in to reveal the truth of certain things and the extent of the corruption, and so we're very pleased, and I would hate to even attempt to imagine what we would be faced with if the cabal and their candidate succeeded.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that the election results in that Hillary winning the majority of votes and stuff like that, do you think that any of that was played with? You know what I mean? If there's some corruption or whatever.
Hard to say, because
Okay.
the Chad, whole thing that happened in Florida was all manipulated so an electronic system could be brought into place, so it would be very easy in fact manipulate it.
You know,
And if you think about it, the way the elections went after that, you know, were with a marginal, narrow win and everything, and everybody contesting. Each election looked very similar to the last, almost as if it was a template, in my opinion.
I can comment on that. You know, when I was in the legislature, elections laws was my specialty, so I understood the administration of elections very well. And elections are not in the control of the federal government. The federal government has absolutely nothing to do with elections. Elections are controlled by the state. The state are the ones that get to choose the systems that they will use, how their elections will be conducted, and what the administrative procedures are. They get to choose whether or not they will use electronic systems, paper ballots, etc. And then even from that, an election really is conducted at the county level. And depending on the different titles, in most of the counties, it's the county election supervisor or the county auditor that really is the elections king, that runs the show, and that can tell is there something wrong with their system. All the way across the country, all these county offices test their systems months before the election. And the only way an election can be rigged is that you have to have a computer programmer who can be inside the system and design a program within the system that would basically throw the results without it being widely known. It's like if an election in a county is going to be about 49.5 versus 50.5, yes, then a computer system can throw it in that one county. But in most states, elections aren't counted at the state level, they're counted at the county level, and then that county reports it to their state headquarters. So for a system to be rigged to really make a difference in the account, they had to get down to the county level. Or they had to be in a state that has a statewide computerized system, and then it would start to show up at the county levels if things weren't correct and right. And they had to do it in states that they knew it would make a difference. And they had to prejudge which states they were going to go into to throw it. It is extremely difficult to hack into a national computer result and throw an election. Signs would show up along the way. And so when the Democrats are saying, well, the Russians hacked, the Russians didn't influence my vote. Hillary and Donald Trump influenced my vote based on what I observed, because it still came down to if the Democrats want to say, or if Clinton wants to say, if Obama wants to say that the Russians hacked into the system, they're just throwing a bunch of smoke out there trying to get people mad and angry at Trump, because the bottom line is those things had to influence the decisions of individuals of how they cast their individual ballots.
One thing I could
The
say,
gentleman from WikiLeaks was on Sean Hannity explaining that the Russians didn't give him leak that information.
They know that. Listen, you basically got a media manipulation that's trying to basically make Trump look bad because they don't have anything else to hang on him before he takes office. So,
well, one thing I
go
can
ahead.
tell you, aside of how they may position for their favorable outcome over a decade ago, from our intelligence sources, where we had access to what the game plan and the outcome was, and many know, what the cabal were up to and what they hoped to accomplish. But nonetheless, it was very clear to us that they were going to put a black man in office, and then they were going to put a woman, and so they succeeded with the first and failed with the second.
Yeah. Okay, we got a bunch of other callers. Larry, is there anything else we can help you with really quickly?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay.
Take
Thanks
care.
a lot. Okay. Have a good evening. Okay, we're going to go on to the next caller from area code 808, and the name is Des. You're here on the air. What can we help you with?
Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing good tonight. Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess some of that Trump stuff was part of my questions too. You mentioned white hat. I got that feeling literally. I was not on the fence at all. I was completely against the Clintons. I know what they were about. I just wasn't sure about Trump necessarily. But when I woke up in the morning and found out that he had won, there was this sigh of relief. on a soul level for me, literally a soul level. And the only way I could explain it was that, yay, humanity is moving forward in a beautiful, positive way. So that is fantastic. You didn't mention,
And many of us felt that
being-
shift, by the way. Many of us have conferred the same thing. We felt that lift.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was wonderful. I no shame in telling you I cried, and it was a beautiful cry. You said now that the government is the majority of the government now is backing these things, these currency exchanges / humanitarian causes. Obviously, Trump's a part of that, so that was part of my question. You said through all of your guys, your groups and your individuals struggle with these different systems coming online and doing these things, and the BRICS and all these different things. Well, and I think I may have missed it, but I'm not sure. What do you think our progress is like? Do you think that this is something that we'll realize in this growing year of 2017?
I think we'll see some very serious progress, some very positive advancements. I think that we will be able to implement and go live with a system, but a transition, and it may take just a little bit longer, but a transition to be fully, globally, functioning may take longer, but it is our goal to implement in this year.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I feel a grand shift happening, and I'm excited for all of us. And thank you for being on the show. Thank you, Dave, for all you do. And let's move humanity forward into the light.
Thank you, Des.
Thank you. Aloha.
Great. Thank you. Have a great evening. Okay. Okay, we're going to go to the next caller. It's a lady by the name of Cindy from area code 202. Cindy, you're on the air. What can we help you with tonight? Cindy, we can barely hear you. Can you turn up your volume, please?
Yes.
There we are.
Okay. Is that better?
There, much better. Yes.
Okay. I said Happy New Year, Dave, and everyone.
Thank you.
First of all, I just wanted to say, Dave, you have always appeared to be a very sincere guy to us, and especially meeting you in person. You have a true heart for the people. So I just wanted everyone to know that you're one person that we definitely love, and we hope that you're coming back to our area real soon.
What's your area?
We would definitely come. Well, you see the area code, so you know.
Oh, okay. Alrighty.
But my question for Mr. M is, I know that at you all's level with Dave and yourself, you guys are concerned about being monitored and investigated. But what is the case with the people, just all the little people like myself on our level? We have a lot of people asking us, are they safe? Because, we put our information out into our world, into so many groups. Dave, we've been through all the groups that you've been through. We've been right there with you. And so I get the questions all the time. Is our information safe? Are we being monitored? Are we being investigated? Are they just going to allow all of us to have these resources and no one, check us out and monitor us? So if you could just give us a little insight. What is it that we are to expect, and are we actually being monitored? And the reason why I ask is because we've heard so many times over the years the full spectrum of, no, you're not being monitored. You're just being told that so that they could scare everyone into being quiet. And then we hear only the whales and those with a lot of massive assets are being monitored. And then we hear everyone's being monitored. Of course, what do you think? They're going to let you have this money and not watch you, everything you write, everything you say? So if you could just highlight that. Thanks. And again, Dave, we love you.
Thank you. You want to go with that first?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, certainly everything is monitored, but it's not monitored in a sense of being live. For example, my phone calls were live monitoring by 17 different agencies, and to some extent they still are, but you know, I'm sort of at a, if you want to say, a tier 3 level. You know, I used to be number 3 in charge of the former new system, but in this generation of it, I'm kind of like, I'm on the 3rd tier, but I talk to, you know, I've spoken with signatories, and the couple individuals that are on a tier above me are actively engaged. We all, you know, are updated on a daily basis, but in points of concern, I would say that there's not much concern because, you know, the manpower needed to go through all of that pre-recorded surveillance. You know, they do have the ability with systems, because I know, you know, my father's system was part of this, to very quickly, you know, find points of interest. However, you know, there are certainly many, many bigger fish that are far more interesting than, you know, what you're saying about what's happening with currency or what you're going to do with the money. So I would not worry.
The other thing is, it's like what he had to say is, hold on just a second, I'm kind of answering a text message here really quick. I'll come back to that. You know, it's like Mr. M had to say. You know, there's 10 to 15,000 people that have already had their currencies turned in, and it takes massive manpower to be able to monitor all of that. But what I come back to is they're not going to waste their time monitoring people who are not a threat to them. They're only going to come after people that they might feel threatened by, or that create security problems for other people who would basically be, you know, people who are violating the law, people who are out attacking others, people who are creating problems. Those are the people that they're going to monitor. And they just don't have the manpower to be monitoring 15 to 20,000 people every single day. Now, do they have the technology to do that? Of course they do. NSA does. But no, there is not going to be much of a problem for you at all. So, okay. Anything else? Any comments else you want to make on that?
No. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Anything else then, Cindy?
No, you guys did great. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. Right. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah. Okay, the next caller we're going to go to is a lady by the name of Lori from area code 812. Lori, you're on the air. What can we help you with?
Great. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mr. M, for all your assistance in this process. I basically have a question for both of you. For Mr. M specifically, I think you mentioned we're at an 80-20 ratio in terms of white hats, advantage to the black hats, so that is tipped. Do we have to be at 0%, or what's the threshold for this to move forward?
I would say we've hit it. We've already.
And then be quiet. Or?
Yep, we've already hit it. The scale is already tipped. The trading of the guard is already well underway. You know, it doesn't have to be that the scale swings any deeper. We are definitely very satisfied with the lay of the land right now for activating things in this year and in this quarter of the new year.
Okay.
So the influence of the black hats isn't isn't holding things up at this point?
No.
We're hearing that things are very, very close and ready to go. It's like, what Mr. M has had to say is that they've pretty much, gotten them under control now, but it's a matter of logistics, because logistics take time to make sure that everything is safe. It was what Jason earlier on the call said, is that they might start releasing money just as test. Those that are at the very, very high levels, they might give out just a designated pre-amount of money to test the system to see how well it's going to work and see if it's going to be interrupted. It's always coming back to they got to make sure the system is safe. They're just not going to move forward until they know that. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
And my second question is more for Dave, but maybe Mr. M will have something to contribute. But and I'm wondering about the project that you're hoping to get off to launch after you get funded. Fairly indiscriminately inviting people, to sign up. And so we're going to be at the multiple thousands. And I'm just wondering, all it would take is really one saboteur to, intentionally blow up the process, or even inexperienced people that aren't adept at keeping secrets and don't know how to handle themselves, what are some safeguards to keep the process from blowing up either intentionally or unintentionally?
We take multiple steps through the process. I make sure that there are security and safeguards in it. There are contracts that people will sign, non-disclosure agreements that will be signed, and as I said, all of it is being done on a multiple step process before we begin to do anything that could create any problems for anybody.
Let alone
Well, I was part of a much. Oh, go ahead, Dave. Mr.
let alone we intend to utilize aspects of our system for tracking and monitoring progress, use of funds, and the like. And we hope to deploy certain aspects in this program that will enable us to do that. And so early warning signs, red flags and the like, would enable us to keep everything in check.
I think, also, Lori, is the fact of what I said is by the time people start getting funded on my list, funding has already been made at other levels. And so we're not the very, very first ones that's going to be receiving funds. Now, that could shift and change. I don't know yet. But as of now, that's kind of where it's at. So if there is another process that comes through Mr. M's system, versus the process of going through Reno, then we'll take a look at that and take that into consideration. But we don't move forward until we feel that it's safe for all of us.
Right. So there was a smaller community that tried to, that was invited in. It was just a couple hundred people. They were invited in to do a private swap. Things needed to move very quickly, and we didn't even make it past the NDA stage before it blew up. There was there was a live call that was recorded that was instructions about the NDA, and a community of 200, over 5,000 people accessed the recorded message, and they started getting NDAs from people that were never sent NDAs. And so, and I don't even know that any of that was intentional. I think it was just people, wanting to help friends out and family out, and they didn't really understand the gravity of an NDA. So, that was an example where it just didn't even get past the NDA phase.
There's multiple steps that I'm going to use in this process.
Again, like the system that we have, you would have to become a member of the system, and there would be a screening process. Yeah. So, you would not even be participating in that phase without getting into the system where there's an inbox and different things, all secure within the system. So, as an example, the early warning signs. Yep.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Okay. Going to go on to the next caller. It's a gentleman, ironically, that is from Reno, and his name is Jake. Jake, you're on the air. What can we help you with tonight?
Yeah, hi, Dave. My question for Mr. Hammond is, it's come up a few times tonight about Trump and the relationship there. Is there any perspective that you can give us regarding whether where everything is on hold until after inauguration as opposed to pre-inauguration?
Well, I certainly only can speak to, my direct involvement in what we're doing. Again, I'd have to reach out to a couple other sources that were on vacation to have the kind of updates that pertain to that. We could do that on the next show or something, but if you want to comment. But
well, it depends on, again, the source. For you folks, my understanding is that it would not have an impact upon what you guys are doing. If you're looking at Reno sources, we had heard, yes, that did have an impact on everything that was taking place there. But with an update that I got today, it took a little bit of a shift. It's not so much the inauguration, it's what's going to happen in 2 days. Because on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, the U.S. Senate will meet, and they will open up and accept and read the Electoral College votes. And at Friday at 1 o'clock, they are basically going to ratify Trump as the President of the United States. See, there's a multiple step process to this whole thing. You have the election on election night. Then you have the Electoral College voters go and cast their votes, which they did on December 19th. And then on January 6th, the U.S. Senate ratifies that vote and approves that vote. When that is done, he's officially the President of the United States, a President-elect to be able to be sworn in on the inauguration day on the 20th. But so the real key date is not the 20th, it's this coming Friday.
And certainly certain things we are doing, we have been holding off to ensure that the White Hat victory holds.
Yes.
And then we know that certain things will not be messed with in regards to being able to steal money.
The cabal system clearly was planning on a Clinton victory in the election, and when she didn't win, it kind of threw monkey wrenches into their whole system. And then when you would basically look at the White Hats, it shifted the chessboard. And the players got moved on the chessboard, and they were having to totally reconfigure. And I think that's why they put everything on hold, because they had to take another second look. And they had to basically wait and see what were going to be the counter moves of the cabal through a loss. How were they going to react to a loss when they were anticipating a victory? So it did put things on hold, but the key date is this Friday.
My follow-up question, if I could, relates more, I guess, on a longer-term level. But with all of the plans that were outlaid prior to the election and all of that, and knowing that there are treaties relating to the tax implications, is this reval important for the U.S. government from a standpoint of bringing in the tax revenue to be able to do all of the things that have essentially been promised?
Well, when you put that kind of money into the economic system, there's going to be a lot of money that's going to be spent, so a lot of tax revenue is going to be generated. There's no question about that. I hear reports on both sides whether or not we're going to have to pay taxes on the proceeds. I basically says we'll wait and see. But there's no question when you stimulate the economy, it generates tax revenue. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's designed to do that.
Right, but Dave, if I've got it correct, you're talking about the second stage here. In the initial stage, I thought that my understanding was that the tax rates and taxation had all been agreed to in contract.
I had heard that, but here's the issue. The Constitution is very clear that only Congress can tax. So if there's going to be a tax exemption on these currency redemptions, somewhere along the way they had to slip an amendment into the budget bill that hardly anybody recognized, because it was not a bill that was out in the open that Congress voted on to allow that type of an exemption. Nobody in the administration has the power and the authority to declare a tax exemption, unless that this is an international agreement and it is funding sources that are coming in from an international source, and there might be something buried in the IRS code that can make us exempt from it. But most of the people say, and based on what I understand the IRS code is, this will be considered as a capital gain tax, and you will have to pay capital gains taxes on it. We'll still see. I hear reports on both sides. I haven't had either side really verified. I would basically always say plan on paying the tax until you know otherwise, and then it's a bonus if you don't.
So the $1 trillion infrastructure plan that was laid out prior to, and whatever that all needs to be funded, that could be funded through a lot of the taxation that would recover. Is that correct?
Well, they also have the ability to release funds to businesses, and then businesses spend it as a business expenditure, and it never gets down to the capital gains level. So that is if they basically take the money and put it to work as a business expenditure, then it's not a taxation, because it's an expense of a business, and you're only paying your capital gains come to individuals, not businesses. Businesses don't pay capital gains taxes.
So, if I understand what you're telling me, the government, the U.S. government as such, doesn't get anything. There's nothing directly from the reval that affects the treasury of the government. Is that
We don't
correct?
know that. Because there are reports that the government themselves has a ton of dinar. And they might have to basically exchange that to basically wipe out the national debt. I hear lots of reports on both sides, so we can't assume that, I think it's going to happen when it's going to happen. I would love to say I absolutely know, but I just get too many reports on both sides. What about you, Mr. M?
I defer a comment until the next time. I definitely want to update, with a couple of my sources before I make remarks.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, Dave, get this guy back next week. He's going to have some good info for us.
He'll be back. We'll talk about when, but he'll be back. Okay? Good. Anything else?
All right. Hey, thank you.
All right.
Thank you both.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay. We're going to have to keep going on now because I got about 24 minutes left in the program. I still have another people that want to get in. So I might be cutting you a little bit shorter, but let's go to a gentleman from area code 647. His name is Archbishop Gerald. You're on the air. What can we help you with?
Well, I want to thank you for all the good work that you're doing. I've been following you for a number of years, and I am on one of your lists. But my question is, a couple of weeks ago, you talked about the possibility of Paul Ryan coming in as President of the United States. As of the 6th, there's supposed to be a meeting in the Middle East to decide on things that are happening between Israel and Palestine. It seems like Obama is trying to derail Trump at the highest levels, trying to put cogs in his wheels. What exactly is happening, and where is it going, and how does that affect us?
Paul Ryan is not going to be the President of the United States unless Donald Trump and Pence, the Vice President, either voluntarily choose to step down, or they're assassinated, or they're impeached. The Speaker of the House is the number 3 person in line to be president, and as of Friday, the Senate is going to ratify both Trump and Pence being president and vice president, so they are in. And the only way that Ryan would be in is if Trump and Pence die between now and Friday. That's the only way he gets to be president. Yeah. It's pretty clear in the Constitution.
What safety measures are there to protect Trump?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't know. He's got secret security that surrounds him all the time, but I think there might be people that would love to see him assassinated, but I have no idea.
Well, I know myself and a lot of other Christians, we prayed that he would win the election. Yeah. We didn't want Hillary to win. I'm hoping that he does come into play and he straightens a lot of things out.
Yep. I think we all do. So, okay. I'm going to let you go unless you got any other quick questions.
I have one other question.
Sure.
There's an individual by the name of Mike Rothschild that wrote an article called The Next Great Currency Scam. And he mentions you and several other people in saying that Nassar is bogus and the Omega Trust is, the Iraqi dinar is bogus and a bunch of other things. And I know by the name of Rothschild, I question that as well, but I wanted to know if you guys had any information on that.
No, I don't. But, I've been very clear. This is not about what's happening in the country of Iraq. It's about these funding sources, predominantly these very 3 large trusts that going all the way back to the original Bretton Woods Agreement that have wanted to bring about economic parity around the world. Mr. M has talked about that tonight. That has always been the intention, and the currencies are just used as a vehicle and nothing more to help distribute this money. I've talked about this in past programs. I've talked about the 3 steps along the way. You have the wells, you have the people like us in the private exchange, and then you have that potential of an 800 number system, and that these are 3 steps along the way to disperse these large sums of money around the world.
Well, keep up the good work, and God bless you both.
Great.
I appreciate all the time and effort that you're putting into it.
Great.
God bless.
Thank you very much.
Thank
okay.
you.
All right, we're going to go on to the next caller. His name is Roy from area code 480. Roy, you're on the air. What can we help you with?
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Hey, I recognize this guy's voice.
Hey, Hey, good to hear from you tonight, Dave. I appreciate all the information. I want to say I've been to 2 or 3, maybe 4 of your seminars, and I've loved every minute. And you've been upfront and above board on everything that you've said and done.
Thank you.
Got a question about your swap, Dave. Is it an outright buyout of currency, or is it part of a trading platform?
It's a buyout. Initially.
It's a buyout.
And I think there's still some things
Okay.
to be determined on that. There is a possibility that some of those funds can be put into a trading platform, but those issues have not been worked out yet at this time.
All right. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the information.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay. Next caller we're going to is a gentleman by the name of Jay from area code 336. Jay, you're on the air. What can we help you with?
Hey, buddy, it's me again. I just had a couple quick
Oh,
questions for
Jason.
Mr. M. Thank
Yeah.
you guys both for being here.
Okay.
Mr. M, two-part question. I'll throw both of them out there so we can move faster. The first one is, how in the world did, if you know, how in the world did the cabal get so powerful that there could even be this back and forth? They take power, you get power back, they take power. And if in fact it's true that they are being neutered, as Dave has used that word, I like that word, and they're being neutered, are you aware of anything being put in place to keep them from regaining power, or even the next group that's not called the cabal, they're called something else, from popping up? Because there's always somebody popping up. But I know this is kind of more of a, from the research I've done, it seems to be more a collaborative effort from a very large group of people. I understand probably close to 10,000 people. But anyway, that's my two-part question. How did this happen? How did they get this powerful, if you know? And is something being put in place to keep them at bay, or to keep them cooperating, or whatever it is that has happened to where now this is going to be able to take place, and many other things, of course.
Well, it's certainly been a multi-level implementation on their part. Starting with 1913, right? The Federal Reserve. I mean, there's been manipulation behind the scenes in a variety of ways by these banking families. So it was not only just wealth, it was a system to network and implement and infiltrate. For example, the Freemasons was a good thing before it got infiltrated. So was the Illuminati in the beginning, to illumine with light. All these things were infiltrated by the intent to become the most powerful group on the planet. And as far as, and it took quite a while, but that they're definitely genius in the way that they accomplished that. Now, as far as safeguards are concerned, it is multi-tiered in the sense that it has to do with new security technology, new encryption, implementing things that I don't want to hint at too many things, but implementing things that will be layers of protection, and then it's also making sure that the heart remains pure, and ways to discern that, and the grand divine plan for a golden age and at least 1,000 years of peace is unfolding, and the people that are the pillars of that have been tested. Let's put it that way. And so it's not just about the technology, it's about a system, and they used a system to implement this against us. We're going to use a system to keep it pure and true.
I think also what we've seen is for centuries, the cabal's power was using secrecy and fear through money. And what's changed is they can't keep things secret anymore. The internet does not let them hide anymore. This information comes out to us, and we as a collective are waking up to their tactics, and we're creating the shift and change because, you know, it's our collective energy of our thoughts and our what I call heart consciousness that creates the shifts and change, and we're seeing the results of that.
I agree. And, you know, their ability to control the media, control the information, you're absolutely right.
They can't do it anymore.
Can't do it anymore with the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, Jason, I'm going to let you go because I got a bunch of other callers to get through, okay?
Okay, buddy.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go to a caller by the name of Mark from area code 205. Mark, you're on the air. What can we help you with? And I'm going to keep it to about 3 minutes, Mark.
Okay, real quick. Thank you guys for all you're doing. My main question is, first of all, I'm in a group. We've placed our funds in Reno already, and several times. And I'd like to understand how the tiers work. We're told we are pre-tiered for the private contract, and there are payouts with tiers 1, 2, 3, how many ever. Can one of you two guys lay out for the payout structures and how they're going to work through the tiers?
Well, first of all, what Mr. M talks about in tiers is not the tiers that are in Reno. Those are two entirely different issues of tiers. So when he says that he's tier 3, that has nothing to do with the definition of tiers that is going on in the currency issues in Reno. When you have those tiers, and I can tell you how I understand it, the very, very top tier are the whales. These are the biggies. And they're being given lots of money because they're predominantly business people who know how to take literally billions of dollars and put it to work in a very, very rapid fashion. And that's why they are being given very large sums of money, because it's not for them to become personally billionaires overnight. It's for them to put it to work in business infrastructure development. And they have that capability to put it to work in a very rapid fashion. And then to me, the second tier is basically us, these that are involved in the private exchanges that are there. And then the third tiers, I think, will be the things that will come on after us. And that's how I see it. Different people use different definitions on those tiers. There is no exact definition of it. That's my definition. Okay?
So
Anything else?
The ones who have placed funds there already will be funded prior to the tiers or at the same time?
No. Well, no, the whales are tier 1 that always get the funding first, and then we come after them.
Okay. And then over the last year, there have been multiple delays or problems causing it not to occur yet, and we've been told that over and over again. Could either of you comment to the nature of these delays?
I think we already have. It's about politics and it's about safety. Bottom line, that's what it is. It's been that way, and it's still working through its process. It's politics and safety.
Okay, very good. Thank you for your time.
All right, good. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. One more caller here. Area code 347. Alston, you're on the air. What can we help you with?
Yeah, good evening. Three quick things. Will the Federal Reserve notes be retained or will the format change?
The Federal Reserve notes, will it be changed or stay the same? In my opinion, I think we will probably eventually see a new currency, but I'm going to go back and explain it as it was explained out of my sources in Hong Kong. When you and I walk into a store and lay down a $10 bill, we really don't care if it says Federal Reserve note or U.S. Treasury note at the top, as long as it spends like a $10 bill. That's all that you and I care about. And when you have money sitting in your banking account in a digital format, digits don't know if it's an FRN or a TRN or a USN. They have no idea. The only place that really matters is at the very top, at the top banking levels, because is it fiat Federal Reserve money that only has the value of people's belief in it, or is it a U.S. note that is backed by assets? But that's at the very top level, and that's really the only place that makes a difference. Anything you want to add to that?
No, that sums it up pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense? You're getting I'm getting some scratchy background on you there, so.
Will circulated and uncirculated down be treated the same way?
What difference does it make? Cash is cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Dave, what do you think would happen if thousands of your listeners in different time zones all send love to the cabal at the same time? What effect do you think that would have?
I'm sorry, can you say?
Sending love to the cabal is a good thing to do. If we simultaneously synchronize that, I think that that would be very powerful. We've
Okay.
participated in things like that and have seen massive effects,
Yes.
frankly.
Yes.
So
You always have an answer with love.
Okay.
It's always a higher, powerful energy
Okay.
source. Okay?
Yeah.
Great.
I'll send something to you. The MSN address. The subject is time zones.
Yes. I'm sorry. Did you have another question? I heard you something about my
Yeah, I sent an email to you. The MSN address. Subject is time zones.
Okay. All right. I'll take a
You
look
can
at
use
it later.
that if you want them.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. I think I got a couple more callers up here at the top. I'm going to go to a gentleman by the name of Kirk from area code 650. Kirk, you're on the air. What can we help you with?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you.
Mr. M, I have some specific questions about the new system. First of all, what is going to be the role of gold and silver within the new financial system?
well, there's definitely going to be a basket of reserves that underwrite any currency by any name. So they will still be of value.
Do you anticipate the value? So today there's much speculation that the values are, in essence, managed today through the paper trading aspects. Do you anticipate that to actually be adjusted to a true supply and demand going forward in the new system?
I don't have an answer to that right now. I may when we come back next time. It's not important for what we're doing right now.
Okay, very good. What is the role of cryptocurrency going to be in the new system?
Well, the value of having a digital currency or a cyber currency or an encrypted currency is that it can have a global presence. We've seen Bitcoin be very successful. There are others that are coming out. But there'll still be a place where they're all potentially exchanged into any cash out currency. So to have it massively accepted across the planet brings new levels of efficiency and protection. So cryptocurrency, yes, I mean, there's a variety of them out there that are coming up.
Right.
But the value is, that your currencies are going to be more secure.
They do have some...
I asked that question specifically because you talked about the idea of going to a desire for many to move to a single currency. And it would sort of seem as though a cryptocurrency would offer some real advantages over some state-managed currency structure or even globally managed.
Yeah, it's similar, but we would be creating our own. We also have a thing called a multidimensional blockchain, which is a much more secure and much more adaptive approach to having verification and authentication from not just servers, but actual chosen authorities to create another level of security and redundancy.
Okay, final question was related to the Paris Agreement. You've obviously talked about many agreements having been significant in moving forward this system. Is there some specific importance to the Paris Agreement in terms of this new financial system?
No, not in our regard.
Okay. Well, I look forward to talking to you again. I'd love to ask more when we have more time about the managed by sell and medium-term notes, because obviously that plays a very significant role that very few of us truly understand in the way large-scale funds are moved.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
It's been a pleasure to speak to you, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Very good.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Kirk. Okay, I think this is our last caller for the evening. It's it's Alan, area code 770. Alan, you're on the air. What can we help you with?
Hello, Dave, Mr. M. How you doing?
Hey, I know this guy. Doing good.
Very good.
Thank you. I've been enjoying all the information that you've been sharing tonight. And I was just wondering, Mr. M, do you think we're going to go to an honest money system, a parity-based money system, after all the monies are handed out, or do you think the Federal Reserve will still be charging the U.S. government to print notes and charging them interest?
Absolutely going to be more honest. For those of you that may not know, Trump talks about abolishing the Federal Reserve. Well, that is more already accomplished than most people realize. And I think this may be a way to bring it into public forum and public knowledge. So, without saying too much, honesty is the best policy, and we're very much pleased with how transparent things are going to be.
That's nice.
Okay.
So it sounds like maybe the Federal Reserve isn't owned by the same private banksters that were controlling it before.
Oh no, that's still the owners, but they don't have the same force and effect. And well, we'll get into that in another session.
Yeah, I think that there's no question you need to see a shift and change, because it's a monopolized rip-off system when instead of the U.S. government printing up their own money, they get money from the Federal Reserve and then pay them interest for it, so all they're doing is profiting the bankers at the expense of us.
By the way, I do want to mention one brief thing. I watched Thrive again, the movie with Foster Gamble. I don't know how many of the audience has done that. And it was a great refresher. There's so many things that are elaborated upon, not only with the Federal Reserve, but and the reason I bring it up is I think we're going to approach him to be another output channel, another champion, to, bring good projects to the people.
Yeah, he's great resource there. Foster and Kimberly Gamble. Okay, anything else, Alan?
Well, I was just wondering about these trusts, if they're held on the private side or if they're held on the public side, as in being inside the corporate U.S. government jurisdiction.
Most of those trusts are private and outside of U.S. jurisdiction.
That's good to know.
If they were public and inside U.S. jurisdiction, you'd know all about them. And people would be absolutely crazy and going berserks at the number of zeros that they have in their account. That's why it's not public. The whole world would have known about them if that much money was available in these trusts in public forum. Okay. All right. Anything else, Alan?
Okay.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
No,
Well, all right. Okay. Well, we're down to just a little over 2 minutes left. Anything you want to say to kind of wrap up for tonight? And again, I want to thank you. I'm already getting emails coming in and texts coming in and saying they've loved the program tonight. A lot of people have been very thankful for you being here. So.
Well, my pleasure. It's time to bring out more of the truth, and we'll be deeper, revealing deeper disclosures as we proceed. There's certainly many, many stories and facets to this subject. While it's old hat to me, it may be very interesting to your listeners, but it is certainly a time of all things shall be revealed in the end times.
Yes.
And so this is the beginning of a new year, a new chapter. I like to reference it as the golden age, and we are the co-creators and manifestors of our reality
90
by our
seconds.
choice.
That's right.
So choose well.
We are the ones that are bringing it about. It's the collective consciousness and the free will choices of the masses. And I'm not here to say I'm totally endorsing everything that Donald Trump does. In some ways he's a jerk, but the reality is the masses chose to make a change. They chose to make a change from a very corrupt empire-building system that had come out of the Clinton and Bush eras into someone that says he's here to drain the
60
swamp.
seconds.
And I think that's what we're going to start seeing happen. Does the guy have personal issues? Oh, of course he does. But I think on the other hand, he's a strong person. He doesn't really care what the media has to say. He's going to be the bull in the china closet to take the swamp down. and I think that we can all like that. So
And we support him.
that's right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us here tonight on
Thank
this.
you, Mr. M.
And yeah, Blanca, anything really quickly? I got about 30 seconds.
Just want to say thanks to all. Very great show. Thank you, Mr. M. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
I look forward to coming back, and many blessings to all of you.
All righty. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us again on another version of the Sedona Connection. We'll see you next week, folks. Okay. Thanks a lot. Okay. Bye-bye.
10 seconds.